Hello, everyone and Katribu. I'm Dina Ventura.
And I'm Francine Marquez.
And welcome to PairFect.
Hey, Dina.
Hi,
It's that
Francine.
time. Oh, you look very nice
Thank
today.
you. I feel
Parang-
like going to the beach today.
Yeah, parang may mga breezy vibes.
Hi, yes.
Tsaka sabi nga ni George Harrison, here comes the sun. Di ba? Which is,
yes. And I say,
it's all right. So we're talking about summer season coming up soon, di ba?
travel plans.
Yes. So we should.
Although, medyo hindi pa masyadong clear sa atin yung mga travel protocols, di ba? So,
Correct.
we want to know more.
Yeah, but still, it's the good time to explore the Philippines. Such a beautiful place to be in, di ba? With people we love, people we want to travel with and explore the rest of the world. And which brings us to our guest today.
Okay.
A best friend we'll have for summer. She's a young woman who's fierce in business, but also, as we'll find out later, a woman who's also who's also kind at heart. Malalaman natin later more about her story. So she's the president and manager of Amica Travel and Tours, and she also runs Sophia's Garden Resort, Camia Bay Resort Corporation. She has also a very charming coffee shop in the airport, I think. It's called Mrs. T Cafe. And she also runs a Tara naman sa Palawan Farm Resort.
Wow.
Which she opened during the pandemic. Was launched during the pandemic.
Interesting.
Among many other businesses. So, let's welcome our guest for today, Miss Michelle Tiotangco.
Hello, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch.
Welcome
Hi,
to
Dina. Hi,
PairFect.
Francine.
Welcome. Are you in Palawan?
Yes, I'm in Puerto Princesa right now.
Yes. And how's the weather out there?
Sobrang ganda ng weather for summer, kaya nakaka-miss na talaga to go to the beach.
Oo nga. Inggit
But you're
kami.
so lucky, Your office is so...
Oo eh. It's a vast place with
Vast
sun,
place.
sea, wind, and beach and all. Which brings us to our question. So how has 2021 been so far for you?
Wow. From 2020 na most of our plans wala masyadong natuloy in terms of work, but 2021 gave me also that hope of makakabalik ang tourism, not just in Palawan, but in the entire country. And siguro a lot of realizations, not just for running your business, but also for yourself. Sa akin, ang dami kong discovery sa sarili ko. I never imagined that I will learn how to cook and bake.
Oh.
And, yung family ko nga, hindi din sila makapaniwala na I'm actually doing it. Kasi before they were saying, hindi ka ba pwedeng mag-asawa up until you don't know how to cook and bake? So sabi ko, why not I'll hire na lang my cook in the house. Sabi nila, no, hindi pwede. So, learning all of this during the time of the pandemic and up until now I'm doing it. Sobrang liberating experience din na natutunan ko yon. And I also did a lot of outdoor activities. So I went biking, I went hiking. So more of doing things for yourself since I had a lot of time last year. And yeah.
Wow. So, what did you learn to cook and bake?
Oo, mas specialties mo na.
Oo.
Yeah, I first, kasi sa pagstay ko sa bahay, sobrang na-bored din talaga ako. I'm a kind of person na I'm traveling back and forth for the past 11 years. And, last year na first time nangyari sa akin na mag-stay lang ako sa bahay for about 10 months. So, ang dami ko nagawa. So, when it comes to cooking, I could say na ang mga favorite kong ginagawa for our family is cooking steaks and salads.
Ooh.
And for baking, I actually had a chance to also sell my chocolate chip cookies and brownies.
Meron pang sell talaga.
Oo.
Wow, entrepreneurial, di ba?
Entrepreneurial talaga si Mitch. Kasi Mitch, you have businesses in Palawan, right?
And Coron.
And Coron.
Puerto
Yes.
Princesa and
Oo,
Coron.
oo. Tell us about those businesses naman. We'll show you some pictures.
Yeah, so I graduated from college last 2011, way back 2011. I took up entrepreneurship. And as part of the program during my course is that you have to actually operate a certain business. And so in my case, since I am from Palawan, I chose and planned to run a travel agency. That's where it all started. So it was actually a hobby for me to plan and organize trips for my family and friends. And eventually, my dad said na parang, why not do it as a business since you're doing it as a study naman in your college course. So after graduate, I finally decide to really pursue it. And that's where it all started. So 2 years after my dad construct a resort in Coron. It was actually a resort intended for his visitors. Kasi my dad is into construction and he has a lot of mga inspectors, visitors coming in from Manila. And Coron at that time, wala pang masyadong hotels to stay. So he construct an 8-room small resort lang in Coron. And then suddenly sabi niya, why not manage it? And this will be a parang test for you if you can really manage this type of business, because running a travel agency and resort is different. So when I was doing that in 2012, eventually, hindi na lang yung mga inspectors or family friends yung bumibisita or pumupunta, but also a lot of inquiries is coming in. So we decided to accept bookings from guests na. And right now, the resort has about 22 rooms and we're actually expanding. Supposed to be we're opening that third phase last year, but since the pandemic happened, we decided not to continue it muna and we had to stop operations. But, as we will reopen it this year, we are about 45 rooms, and we also have function rooms that we can also cater mga weddings, birthdays, and other facilities na ginawa namin as improvement in Sophia's Garden Resort.
Wow. All because of Mitch.
Yes.
Di ba, from 2011, 8 rooms to 45 rooms in how many years lang? That's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah. So, pero I'm sure with all the progress right now, things are much better than before. But exactly a year ago, when the pandemic was declared, what was running in your mind?
Doon po ako na-stress talaga. Kasi, I was actually in Coron 2 days prior the announcement of the lockdown. And I said to my parents, I have to go back to Puerto Princesa because lahat kami was in Manila. And sabi ko, walang someone in Palawan to run things or kung paano yun din gagawin in terms of anong gagawin natin sa mga employees natin and paano yan pag nagsara tayo in the next 2 weeks. Kasi we thought before, parang the initial announcement is 2 weeks lang muna to 1 month eh. And then eventually, inabot na tayo ng almost magbo 1 year na by March 15. So, it was a stressful experience for me and I never imagined na mangyari yun. And in terms of, I'm a fond of planning, but during that time, parang nawala ako as to what will I do next because a lot of people lost their jobs and syempre I have about 150 employees under me. And masakit sa akin na parang to let them go and how will I announce this or ano yung pwede kong gawing alternative for them to have their jobs, because I know that they're also holding into their jobs dahil yun din yung nagsusupport sa family nila. And so a lot of things running into my mind after I think a month of staying in the house.
Okay.
I eventually and my parents had a plan of absorbing some of our employees to some of our businesses na nag-ooperate pa rin, such as construction. And later on, di ba, we'll talk about this naman, my new found business, tara naman, kinonvert din namin yung some of our employees working in the farm. But yeah, it was such an experience na I never expected that it will happen, but I learned so much from it.
Interesting. So, at that time, before the quarantines were declared or imposed, ilang businesses mo ang nagra-run?
Almost all the tourism related businesses. So I think that's about 8 businesses
Wow.
under the tourism.
O kaya pala maraming employees under her.
Yes,
Pero
yes.
what do you think was the attitude that kept you surviving through the quarantine periods?
For the attitude of being, positive. And if you feel, let's say in my case, na you feel sad and depressed of what is happening, parang nilagay ko na lang into other means yung yung pagka-negative na yon. Parang in my case, I spent most of my time working out, cooking and baking. I put all my energy na supposed to be dapat for the business na natigil to putting it something positive para hindi ka, para mabuhayan ka ng loob. And by the time na most of my employees are messaging me, texting me, and nalulungkot din ako that they also had that experience. But yung naging relationship namin of supporting each other, and like ko lang din sinasabi sa kanila na kapit lang tayo, makakabalik din yan, we just need to accept this kasi I think ang dami ding mga friends ko, ang dami ding mga taong talagang nahirapan how to cope up in this pandemic. And yun lang din yung palagi kong sinasabi, no? You have to do things na doon mo mailalagay yung energy mo as opposed to being sad, being lonely, being depressed of what is happening.
Yan siguro yung tinatawag na lang managing your energies. Tama ba ako?
Tama. Oo. At saka, just going through the motions, di ba? And then, parang just flow until you get to the right solution, I suppose, no? Kasi, it was so unprecedented.
Yes.
Nobody knew that there's going to be a pandemic. So, si Mitch just kept going and going. G lang ng G, di ba?
So, at that time, all your businesses closed or you kept a few open?
Out of the 10 that I'm running, 8 of them closed. Ang natira lang was the water refilling station since it's a needed
Essential.
commodity, essential siya. So tuloy-tuloy kami. And one is nagpahinga din kami for a couple of months, but eventually we reopened last May yung aming automotive business, Photon Puerto Princesa. So yun, silang dalawa lang actually yung nag-run out of the 10 businesses that I manage.
Okay. So, I'm very interested to know kung paano ginawa ni Mitch yung transition na yon. But before you answer that, Mitch, let's just pause for a short break.
Magsha-shopping na lang ako! Hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Hello, can you get the following? 1 pink chair, bed sheets, na pink yung sofa, tapos slides, size 8, pajamas na blue. Oh, don't forget my hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Wait lang, okay ba yan?
Anything at the SM store, ma'am.
Call to deliver. Kuya, pwede rin ba ako magpa-deliver sa ate ko sa Taguig, tapos sa friend ko sa Davao, tsaka sa, fiancé ko sa Lipa? Okay ba yan?
Kahit saan po, pwede kami mag-deliver.
Call to deliver. Call, hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver, hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver, call, hashtag 143SM. Hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Call na rin kayo. Call to deliver.
Araneta City, home to the country's first indoor shopping mall, the world's original Thrilla, and the first ever Bini Bini pageant. Now a place for your first win. Your first catch. Your first home. Your first big break. Your first date. And even your first love. Araneta City, the city of firsts.
And we are back with Mitch
Yes.
of the Palawan Princess.
Yes.
So
Mitch
Mitch is-
Tiotangco.
Mitch Tiotangco, yeah.
Yes.
So Mitch, kwentuhan mo naman kami more about how you transitioned from the pre-pandemic to pandemic, yung in terms of running your businesses, and how did you adjust the workforce, as you were saying earlier?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I was saying earlier, no, right after the announcement, we thought of this will be like 2 weeks to 1 month na ano lang, na stop of operations muna. And so our staff was just, waiting for the announcement as to what will happen up until patagal na ng patagal, ilang months na yung lumipas. But siguro on the by the month of May, we already decided, my parents and I decided already of what plans or what other alternatives that we can give to our staff. So some were sent to construction. So bago din namin actually siya ginawa, I also talked to my staff and make them understand the situation of this is not yet anymore about if taga-hotel ka, taga-hotel lang yung pwede mong pasukan. But this is more of what we can do for us to survive. Kasi most of them, syempre, they have their own families and I know na ito lang din yung pinagkakitaan nila. And so I understand kung saan din sila nanggagaling. But I also need them to understand kung bakit ko rin sila nilalagay or na-assign in these businesses. So, ang naging agreement lang namin is that if they are open about it, na ma-transfer to some other industry like the construction, the farming, and other businesses para alternatives na pwede, they're welcome to join. But if they're not, we also need to, kumbaga, they themselves need to also have plans as to anong gagawin nila for them to sustain their daily expenses. And so nakakatuwa naman because most of them are very understanding and cooperative. And I can see them up until now na kung ano-ano yung mga ginagawa nila. Some open their mini groceries or mini sari-sari store. Some of them open an online food delivery and a lot more. So it was an effort na tulong-tulong talaga. May it be coming from the company or may it be coming from themselves na. Kasi yun yung sinasabi kong kailangan na nating gumalaw, kailangan na nating magplan kasi mukhang matatagalan tong ganitong situation natin. And we also had that talk na once tourism comes back, is sila naman din yung priority personnel or employees that we will also rehire for the continuity of the business. So that's actually our agreement.
Okay, maayos na maayos.
Oo
Ano?
nga eh. And since tourism is back, a lot of places have opened, including Palawan. Can you tell us more about the new normal experience naman in Sofia Garden Resort and the Camia Bay Travel Resorts as well?
Yes. So, El Nido and Coron is actually open since last December and we were also getting inquiries and guests in Coron. In Coron, it's just last week that we got our permit to operate from the Department of Tourism. Kasi all the tourism-related establishments right now needed to seek that document before we actually operate to make sure that we are all following health and safety protocols. And so, siguro, the new normal way of traveling is that, syempre, number one, we have to wear our face mask and face shield, which I know ang hirap-hirap kapag na-travel. Kasi I was in Kayangan Lake last January. And paano kasi po yun paakyat siya. It's actually 720 steps, pero pa-hike, so paakyat. And imagine na naka-mask and shield ka going through that, hindi po ganun kadali. And I understand, but we have to do it. So, yun po yung isa sa mga new normal way of traveling. We have to wear our mask and shield. We also needed to, in some islands, ang alam ko po is naka-per schedule din yung pagpasok ng island, or there's limitation as to, let's say, first 50 lang muna yung pwedeng pumasok dito sa island, and then the next batch comes in. And of course, in terms of your boat ride, before, if we allow people to join one group, we call it joiners. So, meaning to say, a group is about 5 and mayroong isang honeymooner sa dalawa lang, mag-join sila. But right now, the new way of traveling is that we do tours exclusively. Meaning you need to have your own boat na when going around the different islands to make sure that you're all safe.
Tama.
And if you have heard also, Alida started this, they had this travel bubble wherein a group of people will fly together from Manila to El Nido, and they will also come back to El Nido at the same time. Kumbaga dapat lagi lang silang magkakasama, and they are not allowed to go out to eat out in the restaurants, to go out in the town. Ito lang yung medyo nakakalungkot kasi syempre I also understand businesses in the town area na umaasa din sa pagdating ng mga turista. And so, yun lang nakakalungkot na factor. But again, we have to follow the certain protocols stated by the Department of Tourism. So, those are the things na medyo, yun yung mapapansin nyo na may pagbabago pagdating sa pagta-travel in Palawan.
Paano yung nagbe-beach? Naka-mask din?
Yung mga nagbe-beach po, sa nakikita ko, kasi we also run a destination area dito sa Puerto Princesa. Pag pumapasok sila inside the beach, they have to wear a mask and register. Pero once you're in your kubo or mga huts na rin naman and magsiswimming na, you can remove it already. Pero may certain may certain limitations as to, let's say, a kubo is supposed to be having let's say 10 people lang. Dati kaya siya ng 20 people, but right now, since it's the pandemic, kailangan 10 people lang at in one kubo.
Okay. So many adjustments talaga.
Alright.
Yes.
What about the boats? Like yung mga gusto mag-island hopping, tapos magsa-snorkeling, may limited number din yun, ano?
In the boats naman, even in the boats, kasi we also have our own boats. Let's say the capacity of our boat is about 30. Ngayon po, 15 people na lang yung pwedeng sumakay dun sa boat. So, a lot of things is, kailangan mo talagang i-adjust in terms of the cost, in terms of, actually po, mas magiging mahal, sad to say, mas magiging mahal din yung way of traveling ngayon because ito yung mga certain costs na supposed to be paghahatian sana ng 30 people. But, due to, following these guidelines, mas magiging mahal na for them to travel.
I guess you will pay for your own safety, right?
Oo naman.
Yes, oo. Yeah, of course, syempre.
Okay. So, pero Mitch, ang swerte mo? You have the best job in the world nga, as we were saying earlier. Because your office is in Palawan. So, tell us, what else do you do when you're not working? What are your interests or hobbies, or where do you go in Palawan?
Or when you're not baking and cooking.
Pre-pandemic, my way of relaxing is also traveling. So parang, when I travel, let's say I go out of the country, para din po actually akong nag-research because I usually look into the details or the what's new or what's the techniques of traveling from abroad, and I'd like to also parang do it here in our own country or in my own province. So parang naging way of life ko na po actually yung traveling. So aside from that, I also do workout. I am currently doing Pilates, boxing, biking, and of course, every Sunday po talaga, I usually go to the beach with family and friends.
sa time mo naman to day off at the beach, no?
Anong
Yes.
beach ba yung pinupuntahan mo?
Yung
What's
favorite,
your favorite?
recommendations?
Oo.
Here in Puerto Princesa, there are actually a lot of local beaches that are not usually part of the itineraries na meron sa mga tourists. So I hope nga no, in this reopening, we could also share these new destinations. And I think people here also in, not just in Puerto Princesa, but also in any parts of Palawan, nagkaroon din sila ng time to also open a lot of other alternatives as to the destinations that locals can go and eventually the tourists.
Okay. What about restaurants or places to eat in Palawan that probably people from other parts of the Philippines don't know about? Pero yung mga Palawenyo, alam
Ano
nila
ba
to.
mga sikreto dyan sa Puerto Princesa and Coron?
There are actually new restaurants na nag-open and there are also mga coffee shops. But the one thing I like about itong sa nangyari is that the young ones are given also opportunities for them to showcase their talent. Yung mga nag-open na restaurants and cafes and actually na rin few months ago tuloy-tuloy almost every month meron kaming mga Sunday markets. Nakakatuwa siyang puntahan. It's because you'll see the young ones or the millennials showcasing kung ano man yung meron sila, may it be food or crafts. So it's actually an opportunity for them to also do business.
Okay. Saan yung Sunday market na to naka-locate?
It's here in Puerto Princesa.
Okay.
We call it Tarabedan. It's a restaurant owned by Aquilon and they have this fair. I think matagal na daw po nila tong ginagawa pero mas nabigyan siya ng mas nabigyan siya ng attention and mas nabigyan din siya ng time during the pandemic since the locals here are very excited to go out. So, palagi namin nilulook forward yung event na yon every time na merong ginagawang Sunday market. It's also a time na doon din nakikita-kita yung mga matatagal na naming friends na hindi nakikita.
Galing.
Ano ba mga famous pasalubongs from Coron, Puerto Princesa? Alam ko lang parang cashew nuts ba?
Cashew nuts.
Diba?
Also some tourists also bring their own mga fresh seafoods since mas mura nga po dito yung mga seafoods and cashew nuts. We also have our local version of ube hopya and also our local version of yung mga breads namin na ginagawa since yan po yung mga products na kilala talaga in Puerto Princesa.
Kasi understand, nagaganda ng mga fabrics dyan, mga handicrafts.
Tsaka yung wood.
And of course po, yung mga pearls, the South Sea pearls, freshwater pearls. Yes, and our hand-woven bags, yan po yung mga usually kilala yung Palawan products.
Yes, oo. Sa mga gawa din ng mga indigenous groups, ng Palawan.
Yes.
Palawan. Good. Yeah. Shopping.
Oo, shopping.
Shopping, sleeping, eating,
So
lounging.
pag pumunta kami dyan, Mitch, turo mo sa amin saan kami pupunta ha. To buy.
Oo nga eh. So, Mitch, March 15 nga, as we said, mag-1 year na since the pandemic or since the quarantines were declared, no? We want to find out, what have you learned about yourself after a year of navigating the new normal? I mean, as a business leader, as a person, what are your biggest learnings? Pat?
One of my biggest learning talaga is learning how to balance life because on my early years working, I thought parang talagang work is life. So meaning to say parang talagang all of my time are spent to work and not so much time spent on family time or not so much time spent on me time. But, eventually you realize that before you can actually run a business, you must first have yourself na talagang dapat maganda yung foundation mo in terms of you balancing work and life. So I actually think na yun yung biggest learning ko because now I usually run my daily activity balancing work and life. Meaning to say, hindi ako nagsasacrifice ng so much time for work and I don't usually sacrifice so much time for my personal life. But, you have to really balance it.
Oh, that's true. Well, next question. We want to ask more about your time management skills.
Oo
Kasi
nga.
TED company. But before that, we'd like to pause for a break.
Iba ng panahon, ang dami ng bago ngayon. Pati ang mundo natin, well, nagbago na rin. Buti ang bayan, bigger, better na. You can buy it sa centers, pati sa mga partners, may online pa at app. You can buy it with your fingers, still don't remittance and more. Online shopping, you can buy it all. Di magpadala, you can buy it all. Anumang pera transaction, you can buy it all. Sabayan ang pagbabago ng mundo for all your pera transactions, all new Bayad.
And we're back, Francine.
Yes, and we're talking to Mitch
Mitch
Tiotangco of Amica Travel and Tours, Sophia Garden Resort, and Camia Bay Resort Corporation. Before we had our break, we're asking you, how do you manage it? I mean, what's your time management skills like?
Oo nga. Kasi
From
di ba,
the- oo.
aside from the resorts, meron pa siyang isang business na parang automotive.
Photon, ano?
Oo eh.
Yes.
Ang dami, and they're not the same, di ba?
Oo.
Yeah, they're not the same.
So, paano? Do you keep some secret Google Doc sheet somewhere?
Spill the
Blocking your
beans.
time? Paano? Practical lessons for boss
My
babes.
very first secret is actually hire your own assistant. That's my very first lesson. Because let's admit it, hindi po natin talaga lahat magagawa. In my case that I'm always traveling, it's hard to keep up doing business na I'm very, kasi an operational type of person. So I want things na nakikita ko during the operations. And I also wanted to see things during sa back office naman. So in terms of yung mga paperworks, I also wanted to manage it that. So, yun po yung unang secret ko. You have to have that person that will do the back work for you. And hindi naman kailangan ikaw din lahat yung gumawa. Kasi nung una, I was doing all of that. Kumaga, my dad would say, parang you're doing things na hindi na masyadong dapat ikaw na yung gumagawa to give your attention to more things na mas importante. And second, is that you really have to schedule your time. So I usually schedule my time from the moment I wake up until the end, until sa pagtulog ko of what time am I going to sleep. So very important that you also set schedules every day. Like in the office, we usually have a schedule for in terms of let's say mga documents for signature or mga for funding in the business, kailangan you have to have that certain schedule. Kasi hindi naman pwede everyday you're signing papers. Hindi naman pwedeng everyday you're releasing certain budget requests. So, lahat din po yun, nakaschedule siya. And you also need to have schedules for your monthly reports or your monthly meetings. Para at least they know, even your staff already know na it's Friday, it's report time. So, they also have their own schedule pagdating sa trabaho nila. And I don't like na yung binibigla ko din yung staff ko na parang, okay, today, report it me. Report nyo na to, gawin nyo na to. So, ayoko nang punong ganun yung ginagawa ko sa mga staff ko. So, we usually have that, list of schedule and guidelines as to ano yung gagawin natin, kailan to gagawin, and kailan din kayo magsasubmit ng reports. And lastly, I have a certain, I don't know how you call it, but I have this document na
Sabi ko na may
ay
document eh.
ang ginagawa ko po is lahat ng mga unfinished task ko, nakalagay pa dun sa area na yon, and lahat ng finish on the right. So, I know na kung ano pa yung nakapending, alam ko pa kung ano yung tapos at yung hindi tapos. So, that's actually how I manage my time. And usually po, the day before, let's say today is Monday, then I have deadlines on Tuesday, may Monday afternoon reminder pa of what is going to happen on your next day, para at least we know what to expect, me and my staff.
Oo. So, do you use a lot of gadgets or are you like old school na nakasulat lang siya in some notebook?
Or tissue paper.
Oo.
I actually have my notebook right now, so ano pa rin po, gusto ko pa din talaga yung I'm writing. So, I use my phone just for phone calls, texting, and taking photos kasi po since pandemic nga ngayon, hindi ako nakakapunta in Coron. So, the way we communicate and report is to video call or minsan while they're nagpapa-approve sila ng mga, let's say, the color of the linens or the color of this or inside the room, yung mga pinaayos ko. Nag-video call kami all throughout the inspection.
Oo. So, meron pa rin sense of being hands-on, using the digital platform.
Oo.
Yes. Actually, doon ko nga po talaga siya na-appreciate kasi before, parang you have to, ngayon ma-realize mo na pwede mo pa rin pala siyang magawa kahit na virtual by using your phone.
Pero Mitch, bakit hindi ka nakakapunta sa Coron? You're already in Palawan.
Oo. Tell us about your transportation challenges.
The challenges.
Oo. Yung sinasabi mo kanina.
Yeah, kasi Coron is part of Palawan and El Nido as well. Pero hindi po siya ganun magkakalapit. So, coming from Puerto Princesa, your alternatives to go to Coron is one, by plane, pero connecting flight po. So, I usually fly out to Manila and then wait for your connecting flight from Manila to Coron. Or your option two is from Puerto Princesa, you can ride a ship, but it will take you about 16 hours. So, talagang medyo challenging pa rin po yung pagta-travel namin from Puerto to Coron.
Oh, wow.
So, talagang you have to be efficient with your time and your decisions, diba?
Yeah.
Yes.
May isa pa akong tanong. Kasi you were talking about scheduling and making a good calendar for the day or for the week or for the month, di ba? Was that something you learned along the way or ganyan ka talaga from the beginning?
Siguro po I got that because I was running a travel agency. So, di ba po, in the travel agency, sanay na sanay kami doing itineraries for our clients. So, kung anong time sila ipipick up, anong places yung pupuntahan, very detailed and organized. So, I think that kind of skill that I learned from running the travel agency is nagawa ko rin for the entire companies that we handle.
Ayun,
Diba?
galing.
Oo nga eh. That's the way you run multiple businesses. And that's how we have Mitch Tiotangco's world domination happening.
So, Mitch, yung tanong ko is, you decided, kasi you studied in Manila, di ba? You
Yes.
took up your business courses, college and then business courses here. Pero,
In Manila, yes.
And then you decided to build your business or to establish your businesses in Palawan, which I'm sure you love because you grew up there, di ba? Pero,
Yes.
tell us naman, what are your top 5 favorite things about being in Palawan? You know, working and living in Palawan.
Working and living in Palawan. Siyempre, number one, I really love the food so much. Even though I am studying in Manila, nung na-college, I would ask my mom to send me food from Palawan pa din.
Oh.
So, food talaga is one of the reasons why I love Palawan. It's because kahit nga po ng pandemic, you realize, sabi ng dad ko, kasi we were locked down here in Puerto and my mom is in Manila. Sabi nga niya, if dumating yung time na mag-close na talaga yung market, kasi markets here are open pero the supply is medyo naubusan minsan. So sabi niya, let's go to the beach and mag-fishing na lang tayo. For sure, meron tayong mabubuhang isda. So that's one of the things that we love about Palawan. And second is, of course, I really love going out, the beach. Really, we have the best beaches here in Palawan. And not just because I'm a Palaweña, but, me traveling around the Philippines and around the world, if someone would ask nga, what's the best resort you've been, I would say still in Palawan. So that's what I'm proud for dito sa lugar namin. And third is I love the Palaweños, the people here. They are so helpful, they're so warm, and we're like a community na nagtutulungan. And yung nangyaring Sunday market, the Tarabadan market activity shows that kung paano magtulungan yung bawat Palawenyo sa iba't ibang lugar and how they showcase their own talents and being helpful of each other. And fourth is that, syempre po, nandito yung family ko and my friends. And syempre, my love of my life is here. So,
Yun talaga yung gusto ko
the reason why I
sabihin.
really love Palawan. And lastly, life in Palawan is really simple. So, I've experienced Manila traffic and gumising ng maaga because of the traffic, pero kahit yung school ko was about 15 minutes lang naman kung walang traffic. So here in Palawan, it's really convenient dahil wala nga pong traffic, and then the shops, the markets are within the area lang. And I hope na kahit na makabalik pa yung tourism, is maging ganito pa rin yung flow of traffic namin dito sa Palawan.
Yes. Sarap.
Kaya nga nice, no?
Pakwento pa tayo sa kanya.
Oo, kasi we have some photos right now. We actually trolled your accounts. So we have some photos. Sana we can have some parang show and tell.
Tell us.
Konting backstory about these photographs.
Okay.
First photo.
Oh, so this is in Taranaman. This is actually a farm that we opened last year of May during the time of pandemic. So ito po yung binabanggit ko sa inyo na one of the alternatives that we gave to our staff na makapagtrabaho dito sa farm. So I'm not actually a farmer, but I started to love, naging plantita ako during the pandemic. So, the love of plants, and eventually since the pandemic, I also saw yung kakulangan din po ng supplies that we had. Kasi most of the supplies pala, dun ko lang din nalaman na di rin pala po lahat galing ng Palawan. And so, I actually had this thought of why not grow your own food. That's why Tara Naman started. And with the help of the experts, they helped me to also put this dream into reality by this farm, Taraneman.
So it's a
Right now we are supplying fruits and vegetables to some of the local restaurants na rin po dito sa Puerto Princesa.
Wow. How big is the property?
The property is about 5 hectares, but I'm consuming mga about 600 square meters lang of the property kasi kiniram ko lang po yun sa dad ko.
Okay. Ang supportive talaga ng dad niya.
So next picture na tayo.
Wow, this is actually what I'm talking about po kanina. So we're selling this veggie basket since last year, and last month of February during the Valentine's Day, we had the chance to also sell veggie bouquet. So para po siyang, di ba the flower bouquets na usually binibigay during Valentine's, we did it with vegetables naman. So it's a healthy way of giving gifts for your loved ones.
Galing.
Oo nga Next photo.
So this is in Camilla Bay Resort in Puerto Princesa, where you can see the biggest aqua park here in the Philippines. So we opened this year 2017, and this place is actually a family vacation house since the 90s, and then eventually we we decided to open it to the public. Kaya nagkaroon po kami ng mga attractions dyan sa Camilla Bay.
Next photo.
Yeah, this is still in Camilla Bay. So here's our lifeguard giving a briefing dito sa mga guests namin. Because we usually don't allow our guests to just go by themselves sa aqua park. We have to have that safety briefing pa rin and making sure that maayos yung mga pagsuot ng life jackets nila.
That's a good thing, no? That's what I noticed also when I visited Coron and Puerto Princesa, maybe like 2 years ago. People are really safety conscious. I mean, the local government makes sure na you have fun, but you're also safe. Next question. Next photograph, I mean.
Oh, this is also in Camilla Bay Resort. We have this, dalawang slides, the biggest slides. In one is about 16 feet slide and one is about 21 feet slide. So I think this is the 21 feet na slide. So that's one of yan yung pinaka-exciting part dyan sa Aqua Park.
Nakakatakot.
Just slide and do. Next photo.
Yes, this is in Mrs. T Cafe. It's inside the Puerto Princesa Airport departure area. So this is actually my mom's dream of having her own coffee shop, and I help her in the operations of the business.
That's why we're going to ask, who's Mrs. T? Ikaw na ba?
Yeah, that's my mom. My Mrs.
Pero
mom.
hindi Although, we just learned you're committed. Nice.
Okay, so next
photo.
we're good.
Oh, good na tayo.
Okay.
Okay na.
Ayan, meron pa pala.
Oh, there. Yeah. So this is in Sophia's Garden in Coron. This is in the garden area. This is actually a place where most of the couples na nagpa-propose. And so far naman po, lahat naman sila nag-yes.
Ganda.
So, what is Sophia's Garden? So, it's really parang it's not beachfront, di ba? So, it's like a garden resort.
Yeah, it's a garden resort, but we have beach access at the back because we have our own port. Pero it's not so much for it's not so much for swimming or snorkeling.
Okay, sige. So, kasi naman in Puerto Princesa, kasi it's very different from Coron naman, which is mostly yung mga resorts. Ang ganda rin na experience doon because it's all nature, di ba? Lands, and then you have the natural beauty of Palawan. I miss it so much. Oh my gosh!
Okay.
And so, parang talking to Mitch has made me miss traveling so much.
And
thank you.
And her very positive attitude.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mitch, for sharing your story with us this afternoon. But before we end, we'd like to ask you for your message to our viewers.
To travelers, to maybe young entrepreneurs also want to promote the Philippines.
Yes, for my message is first and foremost to my people who loves to go to visit Palawan. Sana po makabisita kayo, but before you do that, we must also think of the safety protocols and we must follow. I know it's quite different and maraming mga maninibago, but kagaya nga po ng sinabi ko kanina, it's also needed for us to be safe, not just you as a tourist, but also here as our community here in Palawan. We want to make Palawan safe for you to visit us. And second is for mga young entrepreneurs of running their own business, because I got a lot of questions minsan na how do you do it at paano po ba dapat namin gawin. Ang masasabi ko lang is dapat first and foremost, you know yourself and you know the business. And by knowing yourself in the business and by doing what you love, for sure it will grow. And you also needed to study it prior operating it. So those are the things that are needed when doing business here in Palawan.
Ayun. So once again, we have been inspired by
Yes.
a boss lady
Yes.
o boss babe. Ano ba yung proper term?
By a woman.
By a woman who loves her job,
Yes.
who's having fun doing what she's doing, even though ang dami-dami and sometimes very stressful, di ba?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, she's having fun. She loves it, di
Yes,
ba?
yes.
And that's
Yes.
very inspiring to hear.
Yes. Ang natutunan ko naman sa kanya ngayon is, pursue your passion, be persistent, but also be precise. Kasi
Ayan.
ang ganda ng kanyang
Schedule.
itinerary plan sa buhay.
To be organized, no?
Yes, yes,
So
yes,
it will
yeah.
get you there faster.
So, marami pang letter P.
Mhm.
5 P yan.
Ano yun?
Positivity, passion, persistence, precision, and Palawan.
Ayan.
Diba?
Wow, I love it.
The 5 P's.
The 5
The 5 P's of
Ps.
Palawan Princess.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, oo.
So thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, and we'd like to thank our viewers also for
Our
listening in
viewers,
on the
yes.
conversation. This has been Dina Ventura,
And this has been Francine Marquez.
and this has been PairFect.
Thank you. See you next week.